Joey Jenkins here with Inland Northwest Sports Talk, and on today's episode we are getting just that much closer to football. Just 1 week from tomorrow, it'll be the opening game for the Moscow Bears as they will take on Grangeville. But on today's episode, we're going to be talking about the Colfax Bulldogs, and we still have to wait just a little bit longer before they start up their season. It will be September 7th will be when they open things up, and it'll be a home game against Asotin at 7 o'clock p.m. So that'll be their opening game. Then they will take on Coeur d'Alene JV team next Friday after that, which will be September 14th, also at 7 o'clock p.m. So as we announced, the Colfax Bulldogs football schedule, it's a good way to start things off. The Bulldogs will open up with 2 home games, and I think Coeur d'Alene JV is a good game for them, a little bit different from what they're going to see in the regular season. And that Coeur d'Alene team, of course, we know, even though it's the JV team, still a lot of talent up there, a big 5A school up in Coeur d'Alene. So those will be the first 2 games starting the 7th against Asotin. Then they'll play Coeur d'Alene on the 14th. Then a big matchup for everyone locally will be September 21st, that next Friday. They will play the Moscow Bears in Moscow, so that's a big one for both Moscow Bears fans and the Colfax Bulldogs. Will be on the 21st. Then they'll head back home and they will take on Liberty on September 28th. They'll go back on the road, so they will go back and forth between home and road games, and they will take on Reardon October 5th. And then they'll finish up with their last 3 games. 2 of the last 3 are at home. Friday, October 12th, they will take on Springdale. And then their last home game will be October 19th against Lynn Ritzville Sprague. That also starts at 7 o'clock p.m. Then they'll finish things off October 26th on the road against Davenport. So that's the schedule. Of course, we'll post our broadcast schedule for the Bulldogs on listentothegame.com. Remember, you can hear all of the Colfax football games on listentothegame.com and also AM 1450 Palouse Country KCLX. And let's take a look now at this schedule, and I think it really favors the Bulldogs. They finish and they'll finish and they'll start this season, I think, very strongly. They'll start off with 2 home games, get their feet in the water well. It'll be a good adjustment to be playing on their home field to open up for the first 2 games. And then when you look at the ending of the season for the Bulldogs, they'll finish up their last 2 out of their 3 games at home. So the last 3 games, 2 of those are at home, those against Springdale and Lynn Ritzville Sprague. So when I look at this schedule, I think it favors Colfax very well. This will be an interesting stretch, though, looking at the 14th, the 21st, and the 28th of September, as they'll take on in those 3 weeks Coeur d'Alene JV, Moscow, and then Liberty. Now, Coeur d'Alene JV and Moscow are not traditional opponents that the Bulldogs really see year in and year out. I think that'll be a good test for them. You talk about playing 2 bigger schools. Coeur d'Alene, a 5A school, they'll play them at home. Then they'll have to travel to Moscow on the road and play Moscow, which is a 4A school. So I think for the Bulldogs, being a 2B school, they'll have a good opportunity playing some of these bigger teams like Coeur d'Alene and Moscow, these bigger schools. So I think that part of the schedule, the 14th and the 21st, will be a good barometer for what we can see for the Colfax Bulldogs. Again, all of those games will be heard live on listentothegame.com and AM 1450 Palouse Country. So we have you covered there. Also, Moscow, again, we have you covered. They start a week from tomorrow as they'll open up things against Grangeville. So exciting stuff for the Colfax Bulldogs. Of course, like I said earlier, we post the next 3 days of our broadcast schedule on listentothegame.com. All of these games start at 7 o'clock p.m., so we'll have pregame for you at 6:45. And it's good stuff for the Colfax Bulldogs, so we're excited. We have to wait just a little bit longer than we do for Moscow. They won't start till the 7th. That's even after the NFL starts, so they'll have that later start, but they'll go later on into October. Some other news from the Inland Northwest Sports. Reminder for you, now that we're getting ready for football, we also have the Seattle Seahawks for you on AM 840 The Max. We have all the preseason games broadcasted live for you, and that will be heard. Next preseason game is on Saturday as the Seahawks will take on the Denver Broncos. That'll be at 6 o'clock p.m. for the kickoff. So we do want to remind you, we do have the Seattle Seahawks in the area if you tune into AM 840 The Max. And remember, you can download our downloadable schedules for the week on listentothegame.com. You can download all the different sports that we cover, whether it's the Mariners or the Seahawks or even, of course, Colfax and Moscow football. You can download that schedule, and you can also download the monthly Seattle Mariners schedule on listentothegame.com. So that does it for this episode. Remember to follow us on Twitter at InlandNW Sports. Also like us on Facebook. It's the Inland Northwest Sports Facebook page. And leave a comment below. We want to hear your thoughts on what you expect, what you're most excited for this high school football season. So leave a comment below on our YouTube channel. Also, you can leave something on our wall about what you're most excited for high school football. We're just 1 week away from Moscow starting. We've got to wait a little bit longer for Colfax football, but we have both of those teams, every game broadcasted live for you on listentothegame.com. I'm Joey Jenkins. Stay tuned as we get ready for early on next week for the next video of Inland Northwest Sports Talk.